Hello, kindergarten parents out there. If you're looking for that Friday afternoon when you want to do a little bit of science work with your students, but you need a little bit of help, I have the Evan-Moor Smart Start STEM workbook. You're going to cover 14 different lessons across a wide variety of science topics, all for $10. You're going to cover things like solids. You're going to cover things like what do animals need, what do plants need, how to make a better wheel, if that could ever happen. We're going to have a lot of fun doing science experiments. You're going to read stories to your children. There's craft projects. I love this for those families that need a little bit of help on that Friday afternoon. So let's go ahead and hop into it and take a look. So let's go ahead and take a look at the contents inside this workbook. So right out of the bat, you're going to list every single concept that you're going to talk about, from physical science. They break it up into basically chunks here: physical science, life science, and then on the second page you get a little bit of earth science. Now inside each and every activity, they're going to tell you exactly what the title is that you're going to do here. So the one we're going to be taking a look at in a second or two, we're going to be focusing on the solids and liquids. And they explain to you what is the concept that you're going to be learning here, what are the skills you're going to do, and what is the STEM challenge. And that kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to be learning. I love how it breaks these out so you can hop around. If something is not weather permitting for that time of year for you, you can hop around and move around, especially if you're going to get outside to do one of the experiments. Great way to kind of see what's coming. They also give you a nice general materials list. And what I like about this is for most families, most of these activities are already in our house. We have toothpicks, we have magnets, maybe not magnets as much, but maybe we always have a little bit of glue. Digital cameras are on our phones, a shoebox, scissors. We very often have these materials lying around. I love when we are doing STEM or any type of science workbooks or science activities or curriculums that doesn't require us to always have to go out to the store and buy something new. I love how that's there so you can kind of look and see what you're going to need going forward. So let's go ahead and hop into one of our lessons, and they color code them. So and they match essentially what is in the table of contents. So in this one we're going to talk about is the solids and liquids. Great thing that is great with Evan-Moor books is they're always here to help you, give you what concept you're teaching. So if you got to reinforce that, constantly reiterate to your learner what you're learning. Talk with your child, instructs you on how to do that communication, especially if this is something if we're homeschoolers or if we're just trying to supplement some science work while we're in our school for our kindergartners. It's going to help you, guide you through that. So here are things that you're reading. If you have an accelerated reader for kindergartner, maybe that is something they can read. But I think the expectation here is that you're going to be reading this to your learner, talking about these concepts. And obviously at the center here is about a state change between ice being a solid to a liquid and maybe even a gas as it evaporates into the sky. So they give you these things to read. I like these sections because they can take about 30 minutes to do the entire green section. Now here the next thing is we're asking questions. Is this ice cube a solid? Yes or no? And your learner can go ahead and circle this. Obviously very simple, 4 simple questions. Something you can do, you can even ask your learner to actually go and recreate what they're doing. Go get a pitcher, pour the water in. What do you think this might be? Go ahead and answer these questions. I like how they give you a little bit of an activity to do some handwriting. If it doesn't come through, the fact that it's been written on top, it is kind of an off gray color so that your learner is actually just, following the lines if you want to get a little bit of handwriting work here as well. Additionally, they want you to circle for solid. Obviously, Frosty here is having a bad day here. He's having a good day here. He's a solid, so you go ahead and circle the one that is a solid. The butter has obviously been left out in the sun. It is now a liquid, so go ahead and circle the right one. It's a nice little thing that they have here. You can do this activity fairly quick. Again, you're matching liquids and solids. What came first, what came second. Then we have here a short story that you're reading about Sebastian's sister making lemonade for everybody. Nice little fun short story, something you can read very quickly. And then obviously the picture here is something you can refer to if you're asking questions or reading comprehension. Then we get into what's really I think the standout feature of this book, which is the actual challenge. And here what we're doing is we're actually teaching the science concepts to our learner, asking them, here's our objective. Here's our challenge, and here's the suggested materials, and you can go ahead and gather those materials ahead of time, or while they're doing maybe one of these activities here, you can go ahead and gather these materials. Then they help you through the process. So in this activity, we have ice cubes in a cup, and we are trying to not have them melt as fast. And so if you have a sunny day outside, you can have a control experiment with, say, like a cup that has ice cubes, and then you have another cup with more ice cubes, and your learner has to build something that protects the ice cubes so that they don't melt as fast. And so they are instructed here to draw their plan. So step 1, step 2. Then they go ahead and use those materials to actually construct this project. So they're doing the work. And I would really encourage you to help your learner maybe on the first few of these STEM challenges, and then the journal activity. When you're doing the first few, I would encourage you to help, but maybe towards the end of the book that they are doing this activity on their own, trying to solve and build whatever the experiment is calling for. And then they have to actually do the test. So they have to sit outside. What happens with the ice without a tent? What happens with the ice with a tent? Well, is it melted? No, 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 no. Oh, it started to melt here. So they can see that their tent actually solved the problem of the challenge. And then at the end, they have to say, well, did it work? Yes or no. So I hope that walkthrough of the Evan-Moor Smart Start STEM workbook helped you. Again, this book is $10. You can get it on pretty much any retailer that's out there, especially through the Evan-Moor website, which is linked below in our description. Have a great time doing this with your learner. I love pulling these out for 14 lessons for $10. A lot of times it's really hard for us to teach those concepts. What should I teach them? What should we do? What type of activities should we do? This book helps solve that for just 10 bucks, and I love it. Pages are perforated so you can tear things out if you need to do any logging or whatnot. This is a great activity. This gets my recommendation. My daughter and I love doing these activities. This is great for even families that have multiple age learners. So if you have a little bit of a younger learner, a little bit of an older learner, you can bring them along together to do it as well. But it is focused on kindergartners, and I think it's perfectly tailored to that age group, and it gets my recommendation.